There was another question. Somebody had their hand up. Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, kind of on a different note, what y'all have and what you would look for in a mentor.
One thing when you're seeking out a mentor or trying to align yourself with someone who can mentor you, you want to look at someone who more or less can take you under their wing. That being said, at several mentors along the way, I still hear mentors talking to me as I'm doing what I do every day. But two that stand out, one being Coach Holtz again. Basically Notre Dame, I weighed 160 pounds my freshman year when I arrived on campus, and the team doctor asked me, Rolle, are you sure you want to play college football? And the rigors of playing football, Notre Dame, it was intense. But during that time, there was a particular practice where Renard mentioned one of our teammates, T. Knight, for example. He got kicked out of practice a couple times. And guys would get in a little scuffles here and there. Guys would get kicked out of practice. But one practice, I got kicked out. And I'll never forget, Coach Holtz came up to me and he told me, he was just like, son, he more or less, again, here I am 160 pounds, underweight, undersized, but I had no fear. And the one thing he told me was like, son, I see the potential, I see your work ethic, and that stuck with me. And that stuck with me being a student athlete at Notre Dame to know that I had someone that believed in me and somebody I could always rely on. Even to this day, when I bring my elective cases to the hospital, in order to get privileges at the hospital, you had to go through all this paperwork to obtain those privileges, letters of reference, license, copies of your license, degrees, all your training, all this documentation you have to provide for the hospital, how many surgery cases, to be able to perform the different areas of surgery, you have to complete so many prior to bringing those cases to the hospital. They want to know what kind of surgery you're going to be able to do, what kind of surgeries, more or less, can you bring in to help generate money for the hospital. So, long story short, Coach Holtz, I called him, and before I could even ask him, finished asking for what I wanted, he told me that was already done. And in fact, before we moved here, I was at the national championship game. I won't mention the team we played in that game because it was ugly, but Coach Holtz had a live radio talk show prior to the game. My brother and I, we were walking into the forum. All the players, foreign players, we were all supposed to sit in the front. So as I'm walking down this middle aisle, I had just spoke to him maybe like 2 weeks prior. He stops midstream in this live radio show, gets up, sees me coming in, gives me a hug and whispers in my ear, I sent the letter off last week. So point being, plan for someone like that. He always said that if we gave him the 4 years that we're at Notre Dame, he would give us the rest of his life, and that holds true. So, in regards to obtaining a mentor, you want to basically get with someone who genuinely has a concern for you and someone that you can look up to in regards to the situation, no matter what life throws at you.
I'd agree with that. And going from the sublime to the ridiculous, if you had to pick one particular trait, it's a wisdom and an ability to read people, their strengths, their weaknesses, their motivations, how you interact with them, because that's something that I don't think anyone is ever really born being good at that. That's an experiential thing that sort of builds up, accrues over time. And when I think of the folks who have had the most important mentor relationships with me, the one common thread, the common denominator for all of them is that they understand people, and they are able to steer me away from the mistakes that I would make in terms of my interactions, because they understand folks. It's a combination of compassion, but it's a structured compassion with accountability as well. And it's not always hard to identify that skill, but as a Supreme Court justice once said about pornography, I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it. And I think that when you encounter somebody who has the ability to read and understand people and successfully interact with a wide range of personalities, that would be the single biggest skill that I would consider helpful in a mentor personally.
Joe?
Yeah, I might add just one other point. I think we have a few lawyers on the panel, and if you go through law school, there's something called the Socratic method, which is basically the license for your professors to haze and harass you and make you pay for tuition for it. And when I was in law school, I really thought that was I didn't, well, you don't enjoy that, number one, but I questioned the effectiveness of it as a teaching tool because it felt like it was a waste of time in a lot of respects. But when I got out in practice as a lawyer, you learn the benefit of the Socratic method and how it helps you deal with situations that you hadn't seen specifically before, and it presses you to be able to analogize and kind of handle situations that are presented to you by your clients. And so from a mentor standpoint, this may not be always the fun or easiest thing, but I've gotten benefit out of mentors that have challenged me at the same time. And so, not just me coming to them, what can you do for me, but them challenging me to really, go beyond what was already on my radar, and I think really have me have more benefit from that relationship.
Right. And Eve, maybe close it out with your thoughts on that.
Really, yeah, just to echo their sentiments for sure. Joe, I think they would refer to that as hazing, and but no, really, I think you want someone who's going to be authentic with you about their good experiences as well as their bad, to be able to offer that swift kick when you need it. I mean, really, to your point, things don't always go the way you plan. That's just life. But to really kind of be able to pick yourself up, to surround yourself with people who can do that a little bit for you when you need it, and to motivate you, keep you motivated, to be honest with you about their experiences, even if your projected path goes beyond them, to be able to really allow you to use them as a platform, I think are really aspects and characteristics you want to look for in identifying a mentor. And again, I'll just echo my earlier sentiments, and I think you can learn something from everyone, even though they're not your designated mentor for the rest of your life. Your interactions with people, learning from them, their experiences, and how you incorporate that into your life can be immensely helpful. And I'd urge you to use that as well.
Wonderful. Well, great. Again, a big round of applause for our industry experts. And